hit me. You shook me like I never been. Now show me how to live again. It used to be a blessing, but fever's got me stressing. Realize I am a man, but fever let me play again. Fever, fever, cause I'm ready. Fever got me aching. Fever, I want you to explain. Break it down again. Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Tari Show. Um, yeah, we have a lot of amazing things to talk about today. Hey, Fox, welcome back. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm really good, thank you. Great to connect with you, my friend. What's new in your neck of the woods?
I just got back from Vietnam, so that was a lot of fun.
Oh,
They have
wow.
incredible coffee over there. That's why I couldn't attend the show. It was going to be I was doing some client work way far away, and yeah,
Oh my gosh, Vietnam. Wow. Like Hanoi or outside of Hanoi or?
Da Nang.
Okay, wow. I've never been to Vietnam. I've heard it's beautiful, but I've never been.
It is beautiful.
Uh,
It's also very hot, but interestingly enough, I was used to that because I live in Texas, so it actually felt kind of like home, except the air conditioning was a little bit less consistent. So that was a little
yes.
bit difficult.
Wow. And is it hard to get there? Is there like how did the flights work to get to where you were?
Oh geez. Okay, so I had to fly to Seattle, then to uh, Taipei, and then finally to Da Nang Airport. So it was over 24 hours of travel each way.
Wow. Wow. That's wild. That's a lot.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
I'm still kind of recovering in terms of like jet lag. I think I thought I was through it, but then last night was like, hey, why am I awake all night? Oh, yeah, that's right. Only just 2 days ago or whatever, I was 12 hours difference. I don't think I'm really as recovered as I think I am.
Yeah, it takes some time. I mean, I've done a lot of international traveling in my time, and yeah, it definitely takes a lot out of you for sure. Well, cool. Well, welcome back. Really
Thank you.
excited to hang with you today. So we can dive right in. So let's see. Lots of things happening in the Oodle. So want to give a huge shout out to Stan. He merged 22 PRs this week across the Oodle project and Tari Core. Um, he's just doing a lot of tuning. How we size blocks and how did the nodes actually stay, connected and in sync, and how does the network heal itself if a node drifts, and um, just making sure we're honoring, the vision for Tari, especially from a privacy point of view. Making sure that you can like move funds from the base layer up to the oodle and claim them privately, and all of those kinds of things. Like these are all like very, very important things in terms of just like making the oodle like work well. Um, there's a lot of work that continues to happen on the wallet. We paid out 75,000 XTM in bounties related to wallet related work. There's ongoing work that's happening with like mining and node optimization. There was some downtime for the Explorer and some of the seed nodes, but we resolved that. So sorry for everyone for that. Um, and I know there's some outstanding PRs related to Universe, and we'll definitely get to that. We've just been, there's a lot happening right now within like Tari Core. Um, Want to give a huge shout out to Zero X Pepe Sylvia. They've made like really meaningful contributions um, around console wallet key migration. Um, Xiao Zhang Ming uh, contributed pure transport preference modes. And then Fox, Fox, you've been like very involved in like the tip process, just in helping us think through like governance and how we like actually run this project collectively as an open source project going forward. So just want to give you a huge shout out for all your work on that front. We couldn't do this kind of stuff without you. So very very grateful for the work you're putting in. Um, Lots of nominations for the Tari Council. We've extended the nomination period a little bit here. There's some other folks that we're carefully contemplating in terms of the council, in addition to all the amazing people from the community who've been nominated. So I know Kinkajou has a lot of nominations. Obviously, yourself, Fox, Zhao Shi has done great work in the community. Platts, OKZ, POTR, Impala. Um, we just like, oh my gosh, such amazing people we have in this community. We're very, very lucky to have all of you guys like in this community with us.
Yeah,
All
it's going to be a tough choice for Tari Labs, and I do not envy you.
Yeah, so I can share a little bit more about our thought process here, right? This is not a popularity contest. It's just not. It's a functional set of decisions. So, like the kinds of things that Tari Labs is looking at in terms of this inaugural council are a people who have like a genuine passion for the project. Like they definitely give a crap about it. They want it to be successful. They want to invest some time and effort and energy into moving it forward. And they're proud of it and excited about it. Like that's obviously cornerstone. If people aren't that, then they shouldn't be on this council, right? Second is like access. Like I think it's very important for there to be at least several members of the council that are like connected and have reach and can help drive distribution and awareness and make it successful, more successful. um, that's going to be critical. I think like mission critical to the success of the project. And then people who are doers, like they're just kind of got that mindset of like, I'm just going to figure it out. I am just going to figure it out. I'm going to figure out how to do it, figure out how to win. They've got that like kind of willpower quality about them. Break through walls, not give up. Just like figure it out, right? Like that's got to be a part of the mindset here as well. So that those are some of the qualities that we're thinking about a lot in terms of the council, because we really want the council to be like a group of people that moves the project forward, right? If we're just operating like in status quo, like the way that we're operating now, like we're doing a lot of amazing things as a community, um, but I think we can do more. We can do more as a community. We can do more as a community to like shine a brighter light on this project and like work together to make it like more successful. So that's kind of how we're thinking about it, if that makes sense. And so like the nomination process is very important. And knowing like who people in the community like want to see on the council is very, very important. And, I can just say, like, full stop, there obviously will be, some people from like that are selected based on community voting. But then there may be other people who are like, frankly, not even on the list who are selected because they, there's opportunity for them to bring distribution to the table or bring like some other like business dimension to the table, that is to the benefit of the community, right? Like maybe they're higher profile or whatever they are. So that's just how we're thinking about like this process, if that makes sense. Now hearing all that, Fox, like does that resonate with you? Does that make sense?
I think it makes a lot of sense. I mean, the whole thing with Tari Labs having this position is we want you to make that initial decision so we can make the larger decisions going forward. That handoff has to be clean. It has to be strong. And, you have experience and connections to know more about people that I wouldn't necessarily have known about that would be a good fit. Knowing that there will be selections from the nomination set is important to me because you want that process to have had an impact and be important because that's a community-led process. But I wouldn't expect it to necessarily be exclusive in terms of your pool of candidates. It's more about surfacing people from the community, getting a spotlight on them, and making sure that the contributions of people who have been day in and day out slogging it forward and making a difference are not overlooked and are considered heavily.
Of course. Yeah, I think it needs to be a mix. It needs to be a mix of people from the community, and also people who can hopefully shine a bright light, on the project and help us like move it forward. Like that's the goal. We have this amazing thing, and we've got to just like will it to be together. So now, Fox, I really want to turn the mic over to you here to talk about like the tip process and some of the work that you've been working on, some of the things you've been working on, because I know you've done a lot on this front, and would love to hear from you. What's going on in your world.
Absolutely. So I've got my notes here. Let me pull them up. All right. So the Tari improvement proposals. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this today. We have talked about it a little bit in previous Tari show episodes, but we're going to go into a lot more detail in the nitty gritty today. If you're listening to this, you are early in this project, in my opinion, very early. So you probably have some pretty strong opinions on how the project could be improved. And I believe that the best projects are community led. I have a feeling you believe so as well. If you've been paying attention to Tari, you can see the work we're doing to make it more and more community led. So one thing that many community-led projects use is an improvement proposal process to build consensus within the community. So there's things like Bitcoin, Python, Superset, Apache Superset. One that's a little bit lesser known, but uses a similar proposal system, or even the OpenEdX project, which is one of the places where I cut my teeth on open source contributions. All of these projects have an improvement proposal process of some kind. For Python, it's like the PEPs. PEP 8 is the one where you get to argue about style choices no more because an official style guide has been given. Stuff like that. The the whole idea of them is that we can build community consensus around a topic, make a decision as a community on what we're going to do from a product or technical perspective, or even a governance perspective. So if there's some way you believe the project can be improved, if it's just a way we do things could be improved, or some technical facet of the project can be improved, or just a really good idea on how to make Tari a better product overall from a subjective perspective from a user, this is the sort of thing you would want to write a tip for. Um, so the basics of writing a tip go like this. The first thing you do is you go on the forums or the chats and you talk about your idea. You want to talk about your idea with other people so that you can kind of validate it, see if it resonates with anyone, if anyone says, "Hey, I like this idea, but maybe you're missing this piece of information," and this is a good way to initially get your idea out there and start seeing a back and forth on it. Um, Once you have a pretty good idea that this is something solid, you want to identify someone in the community who can review your initial proposal. And so the idea here is, since we're making Tari improvement proposals, we're creating them against a repository in like Git. So if you're not a code person, Git is a tool for keeping track of changes to documents and code over history. And the idea is you would create a document and we would be able to see, okay, here's the proposal. Here is what we are suggesting we change about how we run the project or how we run the code or how we take things in a product direction. And when you create this change request, people can comment on it. And your reviewer is going to be the first person who comments on it, gives you feedback on how to improve what you're suggesting. And then once that initial review is completed, that proposal is merged in. It's not yet decided to be real or live or the direction the project is going to take, but it's now in the record of being a proposal. And that's important because even if we decide not to go forward with this proposal, having it in the history makes it clear, hey, why didn't we choose this before? Because in the future, maybe we'll change our mind, or maybe we'll come up with this idea again and we'll want to review why we didn't do it before. But it is the first step of actually getting accepted as well. So once you have that initial review and it gets merged in, then it goes before the council for review. As we spoke earlier, the council has not yet been selected, but the idea is that the council will go and review. Well, first, oh, sorry, I skipped a step. After you've got it merged in, you want to post it to the forums and contact as many people as you can about the proposal so it can get wider view and wider commentary. The idea here is you want more and more voices looking at this, more and more people giving their opinion, and trying to poke holes in it, because you want a solid proposal. And in order for a proposal to be solid, it has to first withstand a bit of scrutiny and a little bit of criticism. And you'll probably make a few follow-up change requests to your original proposal until it's more solid and you've got a sense of consensus around it. After that has happened, then it goes before the council. The council votes on it. They either say yes and we adopt it as an accepted proposal, or they say no and they give a reason why. If it's a no, it doesn't necessarily mean it's no forever. You could go back and continue working on it, but chances are by the time it gets there, if it's a solid no, there might be a good reason why you don't continue. Um, you'll take your feedback. You may improve the proposal, and you choose whether or not you're going to go forward with it or not. But at the end, if it's approved, you go forth and you start executing the proposal. Like if you had an idea for a product improvement, this is the go ahead and the way people can reference how the product should work moving forward. If it's a technical improvement, everyone can reference what they're supposed to be building. If it's a process improvement, we just start doing the thing. In this case, the tip for tips is a tip. So this is actually all like tip one, basically, that describes the tip process. So this process is actually going to go before the council soon after they're elected to give it the final sign off. It may be adjusted in the future, but you can actually look at this process yourself by going to rfc.tari.com. In fact, let me pull that up right now. So if you are in front of your web browser, I can guide you how to get there. But rfc.tari.com, you'll see in the sidebar p-tip-proc-1. That is the Tari improvement proposal for writing Tari improvement proposals, which is really cool because you can see by looking at a Tari improvement proposal how a Tari improvement proposal is supposed to be written. Um, there are a few like details of this that you'll want to dig into if you actually start writing one, such as the header. The header gives us a lot of information on what the status of the proposal is and who's written it and when it was created, all that sort of thing. But you don't need to worry about that too much right now. The first thing I would worry about if you're interested in creating a tip is just writing out your idea. Focus there, create your pull request, and if you are getting some traction with it, we'll help you with the header. But yeah, that's the main things for going from start to end of the proposal process. You create it, you get consensus, you get it before the council, it's approved, and then you execute. Um, so with that overview, I wanna open the floor to questions. I believe we currently have this streaming over to the forums and YouTube as well, so there may be some chat questions coming up. But even if anyone just has any questions on the space here or elsewhere, I would love to answer them.
That was a really great explainer, Fox. I mean, it all makes in total sense to me. But of course, if anyone else from the community wants to come on up, this is a great opportunity. So we can, give people a beat to see if anyone wants to come up. And of course, people can always ask questions on the forum or on Discord or Telegram as well. It's like this is not the only opportunity to ask questions, but I think the process makes complete sense. I think you've articulated it very, very well. And I think it's simple. I think it's a simple process, and I think the KISS principle is generally the best thing for us to be doing together. There's no reason to.
From other projects that we built this off of. Shout out to Black Wolf SA for the feedback given to refine this process down to make it as simple as possible.
Yeah, awesome. Hey, Simon.
Woohoo! Well, I mean, yeah, out of the gate, one of the tips we would want to see from the council, for instance, is building out the core contributor program. There's currently no specification of how that works. We know the council needs to make one, it's in the charter, but no definitions or details on how that program should run or be created have yet been made. So that would be a good one. Another one would be deciding what the product direction is for Universe long term. That's kind of an open question that hasn't been answered yet, but there's a lot of ideas being thrown out there. Maybe one on the bridge. There's a lot of question about whether the bridge limit should be lifted, what the goal for the bridge is, that sort of thing. So just anything like that where there's a open question in the community that hasn't really been resolved would be a great thing to make into a tip. That's an excellent one to do. I know there's an ongoing discussion about quantum resistance, so that would be one.
Well,
Yeah, it is part of how this conversation started. Uh, so I think that would be an excellent one to do as well.
so I think that what we should do is, like I don't expect people necessarily to have like specific things now. If people don't, it's totally fine. But we can always collect them for next week's space too, and have more direct conversation and debate and discussion. And I would love for these spaces to become more of a place where there's more like debate about things, because I think it's healthy. I think it's really great for people, and people have a voice, and people are able to share and articulate their perspective, whatever it may be, in terms of the tip or something that they'd love to see the project doing more of. Hey, Okan, how are you?